Well, good afternoon, team. So following on with the ancient wheat series, let's dig into Khorasan wheat. Remember, Khorasan is known as Pharaohs wheat. It has a pretty long history. It's got some interesting history. Let's get to the bench and we'll break it down, talk about the history. We'll go through what its flavor components are and what malting and roasting does to this grain. So let's get busy. Khorasan wheat. This could be a long one for me. Khorasan was a province in ancient Persia. The name Khorasan as a country refers to the Fertile Crescent region of the Middle East. The name Khorasan itself roughly translates to where the sun arrives from. It's got a really long historical reference. One is a passage about this wheat being named Pharaohs wheat, as it was found in golden bowls and golden offering bowls in both Ramses and King Tut's tombs. Einkorn and Nimr were probably most widely found in the ancient Egyptian tombs, but Khorasan was found in only a few, and those being the uppermost royal bloodlines. So, we know this wheat is most famous for being depicted on the staff of Osiris. The staff was called the crook flail. That's where it derived from. The flail was a depiction of a shaft of bent grain, which was depicted as being Khorasan wheat. That flail was used in those ancient times to thresh grain during the harvest. It was also seen as a symbol from the pharaohs as a symbol of provider of food. Another legend lends itself to Noah and the ark as one of the few grain species being taken on that voyage. Thus, the name, prophet's wheat, that's where it was derived from. So what are the flavors in the growth profile? That's what's important to us. The grain's twice the size of modern day wheat. It's probably 3 times larger than einkorn. It, like most ancient wheats, it was less susceptible to environmental stress and environmental issues. It has a buttery mouthfeel and a flavor. It has a sweet taste, but no hint of bitterness at all. I've never had bitterness in any Khorasan I've ever had. It has a predominant biscotti flavor with almost this wonderful softness. When you malt it, that sweet note becomes even more prominent. And it also picks up this sourdough character. The one thing that I noted with Khorasan that I've never had in any other grains is the sweetness is reminiscent of a buttery caramel. So it tastes a little bit like sourdough. It goes from being a biscotti to a sourdough, and it pulls in this buttery caramel flavor that's just outstanding. It's packed full of energy. Khorasan has 40% higher protein than any of the normal wheats. So a higher protein level is going to lend itself well to a beer. It's a little harder to work with because of that, but it does add more texture and more flavor to a beer. Let's take a look. I've got a bunch of clips coming up that go through the different malting, air rest, steeping, and kilning processes of the Khorasan wheat. So let's go ahead and jump into those. We'll take a look at those. I want you to see how they grow, how they germinate, It does take a little longer. I want you to see the different steps through that germination process because it is a little longer, a bigger grain, and it takes a little longer to do. Okay, so I'm going to combine the first steeps together for our 4 videos. I've got all 4, a pound of each. We're going to go ahead and do a pound. I'm going to reserve some from behind for doing some smoking and some extra, but we're going to do a pound of each one of these. So you can see Khorasan. The Khorasan is the larger grain. Sorry for the light right there, guys. Khorasan's, you smell the butter as soon as you get it wet. You can smell that buttery texture. But we're going to go ahead and get this first 1 pound each steep going. I want you to be able to see how each one grows. Well, this is day 1, end of the air rest for our Khorasan, and we're going back into a second steep. So we're going to put about 1 inch of water in here. About a half gallon should do it. This is just right at a pound, so we're gonna let it steep on its second steep. We'll do a second air rest, and we should see chitting start. We do have a little bit of chitting, you can see right on the end, but it should get real pronounced, and you'll notice the differences from the color from the chit side to the butt end of the grain. Those will normalize, so you'll see a common color all the way through once they've soaked up their water. Now here's day 2 on the Khorasan wheat, and I mean, you know, it's a slow grower. It takes its time. It's a 3, maybe a 4, almost a 5-day wheat. The last 24 hours with Khorasan is like it just explodes. So, you know, I'm not really going to worry about it that much. We're just going to let it do its thing. It's coming along fine. I just sprayed it down. We'll put it back up and we'll check it again right before bed, and then we'll check it again tomorrow morning. Real quick update on the Khorasan wheat. We're seeing some huge growth just on day 2 alone. This stuff's going to be really good. It's already starting to get a mat to the grain bed. You can see here's another one here. They're still a little small, but you know, we're talking day 2. We're keeping it right around 72 degrees, and we're seeing some pretty good growth so far. Well, it looks like the Khorasan is done, and here's a real good look, guys, at matting. Let me show you what this looks like. When you flip it over, we're literally a mat. So I'm looking down here, and we're fully modified on almost every grain in here. We've got extremely good matting. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one on the screens and into the kiln. And once we have all 3, I'll do a side-by-side comparison of after kilning, so you can see what each one of them are going to look like. Neat little trick when loading up your screens. Start to the sides. So if you look right here, I'll start taking from the middle and I'll load my sides up. What am I doing that for? Well, if you load your sides up, you kind of create a little just an edge, almost like a little piece that just keeps the rest of the grains from overflowing your screen. So work to the sides and then work to the middle. And basically what we're looking at doing is just getting them evenly spread out, and then just poke some holes in it with your fingers. You don't want to block it. You don't want it built up. So we want air to flow through. So here's 12 hours. We're done the drying of this. We are right now at a really dry rate. I haven't weighed it out yet, but I mean, you can see the level of dryness on that is just astounding. I'll weigh it first, make sure I'm under 10%, but it's sucking the moisture out of my hand, so I can feel that. But we'll go ahead and get that in. So we got 3 trays. Again, this is the Khorasan. So you notice, I mean, it's bigger and it does take a little longer. It took about 12 hours. Okay, guys, that concludes our Khorasan episode. I took the liberty of taking a little more time with this one. I hope you guys don't mind. I mean, that is my favorite wheat of all of the wheats that I normally do. So Anyway, I hope you like what you saw. If you do, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot. We've also got the last episode coming up, which will be the hard red spring wheat. And at the end of that, I'm going to go ahead and do all four, lay all four out, and we'll talk about the differences of all four of those different grains that we malted for this series. So hit that bell icon. You don't want to miss that. It's well worth the watch. Again, thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and look forward to you on the next video.